Hello and welcome to the Sleepy Hub, your cozy resource for a good night's sleep. I'm so glad you're here. You've done enough for today, truly you have. You've given, thought, and tried. Now, this is your time to rest, to breathe, and to simply be. In tonight's story, we're talking about the moon. A sleepy exploration of one of Earth's oldest friends. If you enjoy calming stories like this, please consider liking, sharing, and leaving a sleepy, kind message below. It helps other sleepy friends find their way here, and together we can make this a peaceful corner of the world. Take a deep breath in and slowly let it go. Wherever you are right now, let yourself find comfort. Maybe you're resting on a bed, a couch, a chair, or somewhere all your own. Wherever you are, let that space hold you. Feel the weight of your body being supported. Let your shoulders soften. Let your hands rest gently. There's nothing you need to do. Nowhere you need to go. You are safe. And you can let go. With your next breath, imagine a soft, silvery light washing over you. Cool, quiet, and calm. This is moonlight, gentle and eternal. It touches oceans, mountains, forests, and now, you. It doesn't ask anything of you. It simply shines, reminding you that even in the darkest night, there is always light to be found. For thousands of years, the moon has watched over the world, glowing above deserts, oceans, and cities. It has seen empires rise and fade, lovers whisper, wolves sing, and tides dance. It has been painted, written about, prayed to, and studied, a witness to everything, yet always calm. As we begin tonight's journey, imagine yourself beneath a wide, quiet sky. The air is cool. Stars sparkle faintly in the distance, and there, steady, soft, familiar, is the moon. Its glow feels ancient, yet alive, like a heartbeat shared between worlds. In this story, we'll explore the moon through the eyes of both wonder and science. We'll learn how it came to be, how it moves, how it guides, and how it inspires. We'll listen to the stories people have told about it and discover the magic behind its mystery. But for now, all you have to do is rest and listen. The moon has guided travelers, poets, and dreamers, and tonight it will guide you into peace. Let its quiet light remind you that you belong to something vast and kind. The world outside can wait. This is your time to slow down. Breathe deeply and let your thoughts drift like clouds across a starlit sky. So let's begin with the story of our moon, our silent companion in the night, who has never once left our side. Chapter 1: A light in the darkness. When night falls, the world begins to change. Colors fade, sounds soften, and shadows stretch into long, quiet shapes. The noise of the day gives way to something slower, calmer, easier to breathe in. and somewhere up above, the moon begins to rise. It may appear shy at first, peeking from behind clouds, or bold and brilliant, shining like a pearl against velvet sky. But it always comes, a patient friend returning after sunset. For as long as humans have existed, the moon has been our companion in the dark. Long before city lights or flashlights or glowing screens, people looked to its silver light to guide their way home. It illuminated paths, reflected off rivers, and made the night less lonely. Its glow was soft enough to comfort, but bright enough to see. A perfect balance between mystery and safety. You can imagine those first people sitting by small fires, gazing upward in quiet awe. They didn't yet know what the moon was, only that it was constant and that its face changed slowly, gracefully, over time. Sometimes full and round, sometimes barely visible, it seemed to breathe with the rhythm of life itself. The truth is, the moon doesn't shine its own light at all. Its brightness is a reflection, sunlight bouncing off its surface and down to us. Every beam you've ever seen from the moon is really sunlight that traveled across space, touched the moon's dusty plains, and returned to Earth in a gentler form. That's part of what makes it so special. It takes light that would be blinding and turns it into something soft, something we can rest beneath. Think about that. Even when the sun is on the other side of the world, its light still reaches you through the moon. A reminder that warmth and kindness never truly leave. They just find quieter ways to appear. As you picture the moon now, imagine its light wrapping around you like a blanket, cool and silvery, peaceful and sure. The shadows in your room, or the quiet around you, don't feel empty anymore. They feel alive, touched by the same soft glow that has watched over Earth for billions of years. Every creature on this planet has known the moon. Wolves and owls, sailors and farmers, lovers and dreamers all have paused to look up at that glowing face in the sky. It connects us across time and space, like a thread of light tying generations together. When you look at the moon tonight, you're seeing the same sight that ancient people saw long ago. The same moon that guided travelers, inspired art, and whispered calm into countless nights. And if you listen closely, you might notice how the world responds to it. The tide moves, the air shifts, even our bodies, made mostly of water, seem to listen. The moon pulls gently at everything, at oceans, at rivers, at hearts. It doesn't force or demand. It simply draws softly and patiently, reminding everything to move with rhythm and grace. As you rest, you can feel that rhythm too. The rise and fall of your breath, the soft pull of sleep approaching. The moon's light is steady, quiet, constant. A friend who never leaves, even when hidden by clouds. It is the symbol of presence itself. So, wherever you are tonight, on land, near water, or simply in your own stillness, remember that the moon is there with you. It shines for everyone, but somehow feels personal, like it knows your story, your hopes, your tiredness, your dreams. It's a light meant to comfort all who look up, to remind you that even in darkness, you are never truly alone. And so the story begins with this first truth of the moon, that it is both a mirror and a guide, a reflection of light, a keeper of rhythm, a gentle guardian of night. Chapter 2, Born of Fire and Collision. Long, long before any human looked up at the sky, before Earth had oceans or trees or even clouds, the moon was not yet born. The early Earth was a wild and fiery place, a young planet glowing red-hot, swirling with molten rock, gas, and endless movement. The air shimmered with heat. Volcanoes roared like giants. Everything was still forming, still finding balance. And then, something extraordinary happened. Scientists call it the giant impact. A moment when Earth collided with another world, a planet about the size of Mars, called Theia. It's hard to imagine something so huge, but in the quiet of your mind, picture it as a slow-motion ballet in space. Two glowing worlds drifting closer and closer until, with unimaginable force, they meet. The collision is not an explosion in the way we think of it. It's more like the universe itself, taking a deep breath and rearranging its stars. The impact sent waves of molten rock flying into space, pieces of Earth and Theia mingling, glowing like sparks in the darkness. Over time, those glowing pieces began to gather. Gravity, that patient sculptor of worlds, pulled them into a single shape. Round and smooth, cooling slowly, becoming the moon. You can imagine it forming like glass, once molten and wild, now solid and still. It drifted into orbit around Earth, circling her gently, pulled by invisible strings of gravity. The two became bound together, partners in the vast quiet of space. The moon was born from the Earth itself, and from that moment on, they have never been apart. As the moon cooled, its surface hardened into rock and dust. Great craters formed from the impacts of space stones that fell like ancient rain. Mountains rose. Lava once flowed through deep channels, leaving dark patches we still see today. The Maria, or seas, named by early astronomers who thought they were oceans. These dark areas are the moon's scars and memories, silent records of its creation. Billions of years have passed since that great impact, but the bond between Earth and Moon remains unbreakable. The Moon pulls on Earth's oceans, creating tides that rise and fall like breath. Earth, in return, slows the Moon's spin ever so slightly, like two dancers keeping time together. Without this balance, Earth's days would be shorter, its seasons less stable, its oceans wilder. The Moon's steady presence has helped shape the calm rhythm of life itself. It's strange to think that something born of such fire could become a symbol of peace, a quiet white circle floating in the cool night sky. But that's what makes it so beautiful. The Moon reminds us that even chaos can become harmony, that even from collision, something gentle can emerge. You can close your eyes and picture it now. The glowing young Earth, the newborn Moon circling her, the darkness of space stretching endlessly around them, silent, peaceful, eternal. The same Moon that once burned with fire now glows with borrowed light, keeping watch over sleeping oceans and dreaming minds. And if you listen closely, in the quiet between your breaths, you can almost feel that ancient rhythm still alive within you. The pulse of creation, the echo of that long-ago collision that made both Earth and Moon what they are today. It's a reminder that you, too, are made of the same dust, the same light, the same story that shaped the stars. The Moon's origin isn't just a fact of science. It's a lullaby written in stone and time, born from fire, tempered by gravity, softened by distance, and destined to glow forever beside us. Chapter 3. The Dance with Earth. Every night when you look at the Moon, you're really watching a dance that's been happening for billions of years. a slow, graceful waltz between Earth and her silent partner in the sky. They move together in perfect balance, never colliding, never drifting apart, held by an invisible bond called gravity. It's a dance so gentle and steady that it shapes the rhythm of life itself. The moon circles Earth once every 27.5 days, and while it moves, Earth spins beneath it. This is why the moon seems to rise and fall, appearing at different times and in different shapes. It's not random, it's choreography. Two bodies moving in harmony, each affecting the other. The moon pulls softly on Earth, and Earth, in return, keeps the moon steady in her orbit. Gravity is what makes this dance possible. It's a quiet kind of love, a pull that never stops, never demands, just connects. Because of that pull, oceans rise and fall each day, following the moon's path across the sky. On one side of the planet, water stretches toward the moon, creating high tide, while on the other side, a matching swell forms. Then, as the moon continues her journey, the tides flow back again, completing the cycle. Imagine standing by the sea on a quiet night. The air is cool, the sand soft beneath your feet, and the moon's reflection ripples gently on the water. You can hear the waves moving in and out, following her rhythm like a heartbeat. Each wave that touches the shore has been shaped by the same gravitational dance that guides the stars. But the moon doesn't just move the oceans, it moves us too. The gentle tilt of Earth's axis, which gives us our seasons, stays stable thanks to the moon. Without her steadying influence, Earth might wobble too much, creating wild shifts in climate and weather. The moon keeps our world balanced, calm enough for life to grow, consistent enough for hearts to rest. There's another secret hidden in this dance. The moon always shows us the same face. Though it spins on its own axis, it does so at just the right speed to match its orbit around Earth. One full rotation per journey. This perfect timing means the same side of the moon always faces us, while the far side, sometimes called the dark side, though it gets sunlight too, remains unseen from Earth's surface. It's as if the moon has chosen to hold our gaze forever, turning just enough to stay close, always showing her familiar face, always reminding us she's still there. That's why, when you look up at the moon, you're seeing the same view that people saw thousands of years ago. Unchanged, constant, comforting. Even though the moon feels far away, she's always in motion, tracing a quiet path through the sky. And Earth, spinning and swaying in her own rhythm, follows along. The two lock together like partners in an endless waltz. Sometimes they drift slightly closer, sometimes a little farther apart, but the bond remains, steady, invisible, unbreakable. If you close your eyes, you can almost feel that motion, the slow turning of the Earth beneath you, the moon gliding silently above. The air around you feels calm, balanced, rhythmic. You are part of that same cosmic dance, connected by gravity, by light, by existence itself. The moon reminds us that harmony doesn't mean stillness. It means movement in balance. It means trust. It means letting go and allowing the pull of life to carry you exactly where you're meant to be. And as you breathe slowly now, you can imagine the moon and Earth still circling one another in the vast quiet of space. Two ancient partners, keeping time in the endless song of the universe. A dance that never ends. A bond that never breaks. A reminder that connection, even across distance, is what keeps everything beautifully in motion. Chapter 4: The Changing Faces of the Moon. If you've ever looked up at the sky night after night, you've probably noticed that the moon is never quite the same. Sometimes it's a glowing circle, bright and full. Sometimes just a sliver, a soft curve, like a smile. Other times it's barely there, hidden in the darkness. Yet through every change, it never disappears completely. It's simply turning, showing us different sides of its beautiful face. This gentle pattern is called the lunar cycle, and it happens every 29.5 days. For thousands of years, people have watched this rhythm, the moon growing, shining, fading, and beginning again, and found comfort in its constancy. The moon teaches us that change isn't loss, it's movement, it's transformation. It all begins with the new moon, a moment of stillness and renewal. During this time, the moon sits between Earth and the sun, and the side that faces us is in shadow. The sky looks dark, calm, quiet, but the moon is still there, invisible, yet waiting to return. This phase has always symbolized new beginnings, like a deep breath before a fresh start. Then comes the waxing crescent, when a delicate sliver of light appears on the right side, the moon's first whisper of return. It's small, but bright enough to remind us that even the faintest light can grow. Each night, it widens slightly, curving like a promise. Soon the moon reaches its first quarter, half lit and strong, standing halfway between darkness and fullness. If you've ever felt in between, not quite where you were, not yet where you're going, this phase is for you. It's the moon saying, keep going. You're halfway there. Then, the light keeps growing into the waxing gibbous, a round, glowing shape that seems to swell with energy. The sky feels alive, brighter each night, as if the moon is gathering strength to share with the world. And then comes the full moon, radiant, complete, breathtaking. The entire face of the moon glows, reflecting sunlight across oceans and mountains. People have gathered under full moons since the beginning of time, dancing, praying, planting, celebrating. It's a phase that feels like fullness in every sense. Clarity, illumination, peace. When you look at a full moon, it's like looking at the whole story of the month made visible. But even fullness isn't forever. Slowly, the light begins to fade, entering the waning gibbous when the moon starts to soften again. The glow dims just slightly, reminding us that letting go is also part of life's rhythm. Then comes the last quarter, when half of the moon is lit again. But this time, the light is on the opposite side. This phase has a feeling of reflection, of looking back with gratitude, preparing to rest. Finally, the waning crescent, the last gentle curve before the moon disappears into darkness once more. It's like the world taking a sigh of relief. The moon grows faint, delicate, almost transparent. Soon, it will be new again, and the cycle will begin once more. Each phase of the moon has its own quiet wisdom. The new moon whispers, begin again. The first quarter says, keep going. The full moon glows, you've arrived. The waning moon sighs, rest now. Together, they remind us that everything, our energy, our moods, our lives, moves in cycles too. The moon doesn't rush its changes. It doesn't force the light to come or go. It trusts the process. It knows that even in its darkest phase, it is still whole, still shining, just from the side we can't see. As you rest here now, You can feel that rhythm inside yourself. The rise and fall, the inhale and exhale, the fullness and release. You are part of that same pattern, made of the same cosmic balance. So the next time you see the moon in any of her forms, full or crescent, bright or hidden, you can smile knowing that she's always becoming, just like you. Always changing, always returning, always light, even when invisible. The moon's phases are the heartbeat of the night sky, a reminder that it's okay to shine, it's okay to dim, and it's okay to begin again. Chapter 5. The Moon and Time. Before there were clocks ticking on walls or calendars hanging in kitchens, people looked to the sky to tell time. They watched the sun rise and set, and they followed the moon as it grew and faded across the heavens. Long before we counted days and weeks, we counted moons. Every 29.5 days, the moon completes her cycle, from darkness to full light and back again. Ancient people noticed this rhythm and used it to mark the passing of time. They measured months. The very word month comes from moon. The gentle glow above became humanity's first calendar, guiding farmers, sailors, travelers, and dreamers alike. Imagine life thousands of years ago, before electricity or maps or alarms. You live in a small village where the only light at night comes from fire and the moon. When the moon grows bright, the world feels awake. Children play, people gather, stories are told. When it fades, the world quiets, resting until the next glow returns. The moon's rhythm sets the pace for life itself, a pulse shared between sky and earth. The ancient Babylonians, Egyptians, and Chinese each built their calendars around the moon's cycles. They named their months after the moon's journey, planning harvests, celebrations, and ceremonies according to her glow. Many cultures still do. In parts of Asia, the Lunar New Year is celebrated when the first new moon of spring rises, marking the start of renewal. In Islam, the sighting of the crescent moon marks each new month in the Hijri calendar. And even in the Western world, echoes of the moon's timing remain, in words like honeymoon, a name that came from the idea of one full lunar cycle of sweetness after a wedding. The moon has always been our quiet keeper of rhythm. Unlike the sun, which blazes with certainty, the moon moves softly, shifting shape and time with patience. She doesn't count hours, she counts cycles. She teaches us to think in phases, not minutes, to see time as something living and circular, not something that runs out. Even now, though our watches glow and our phones buzz with schedules, the moon still holds her quiet influence. Fishermen still follow her tides. Gardeners plant according to her pull. Animals move with her rhythm. Sea turtles, for instance, often hatch on full moon nights, guided by her light to the ocean. Coral reefs release their eggs and sperm in perfect unison during certain lunar phases, a global dance of life led by the same glowing orb we see above our cities and towns. When we stop to look up, we reconnect with that ancient rhythm, the slow, looping heartbeat of nature. It reminds us that everything moves in circles, the seasons, the tides, even our own emotions. Time isn't a straight line, it's a spiral, returning us again and again to moments of rest, growth, and renewal. As you listen now, imagine standing under a vast night sky, the moon shining brightly above. You can almost feel time slowing around you. The world breathes at the moon's pace, calm, steady, endless. There's no rush, no deadline, just the comfort of knowing that everything has its moment and that all things, including you, move in rhythm with something greater. The moon's gift to us is perspective, the reminder that time isn't something we lose, it's something we live within. We're not racing the clock, we're moving in harmony with the universe's quiet song. So, as you rest here tonight, you can feel the same rhythm that guided the ancients still pulsing through you. The rise and fall of breath, the beat of your heart, the gentle waxing and waning of your own energy. The moon and time have always been intertwined, constant companions guiding us home, month after month, year after year, light after light. Chapter 6: Myths and Magic. For as long as people have looked up at the night sky, they've seen more than just a glowing sphere. They've seen meaning, mystery, and magic. The moon has been a goddess, a guardian, a storyteller, and a symbol of everything we can't quite explain, but still feel deeply. Every culture on Earth has loved the moon in its own way, and together, their stories form a soft chorus of wonder that has echoed through time. In ancient Greece, the moon was Selene, a silver goddess who drove her glowing chariot across the heavens each night. Her long hair flowed like beams of light, and her quiet grace soothed the world below. Later, the goddess Artemis, the huntress of the wild, became another lunar spirit, protector of nature and the night. Her bow, it was said, was shaped like a crescent moon. Far away in China, the moon's story was about love and immortality. The gentle Chang'e, a woman of radiant beauty, was said to have swallowed a potion meant for her husband and floated away to the moon, where she still lives with her white rabbit companion. During the Mid-Autumn Festival, families gather to eat mooncakes and look up, knowing that somewhere she is watching over them, glowing softly in eternal grace. In Japan, people also tell stories of a moon rabbit, a kind and selfless creature who lives on the moon, pounding rice cakes with a mortar and pestle, keeping watch over the earth. The shape of this rabbit is said to be visible in the moon's markings if you look closely, a reminder that kindness, once given, never fades. The ancient Egyptians saw the moon as Khonsu, the traveler who guided time and protected those who wandered at night. And in Hindu stories, the moon is Chandra, a shining god who rides across the sky in a chariot pulled by 10 white horses. His light is said to soothe and heal, bringing calm to hearts and rest to minds. In Africa, in the stories of the Zulu and other peoples, the moon is a symbol of renewal, dying each month and being reborn again. It teaches that endings are not final, only part of a cycle that leads back to life. And in many indigenous cultures across the Americas, the moon is known as Grandmother Moon, a wise elder who watches over the earth, keeping rhythm with the tides, guiding dreams, and protecting the balance of all living things. Her light is sacred, a reminder that the universe is family and that we are never alone. These stories, though different, share the same truth. The moon is a reflection of love and continuity. It watches over us, changes with us, and reminds us that we are all part of something larger. A story written in both myth and science, spirit and sky. Even today, those old legends live quietly within us. When someone says the moon feels magical, they are remembering what humanity has always known, that its light speaks to something ancient inside us, something calm, something infinite. The moon has been blamed for madness and praised for miracles. worshipped in temples and admired from doorsteps. It has seen every version of us, the gentle and the wild, the hopeful and the lost, and loved us through it all, simply by shining. When you look up at the moon tonight, think of all those who have done the same before you. Lovers whispering in gardens, travelers praying for guidance, children dreaming of rabbit-shaped shadows. Across centuries and continents, they've all shared this same small act, looking up and feeling awe. The moon belongs to everyone. It's the same in every sky, the same light seen by every being who's ever wondered why we're here. That's what makes it so magical. It's the great equalizer, glowing for kings and farmers, poets and wanderers, dreamers and sleepers alike. And as you rest here now, under the same light that inspired gods and stories, you can feel that connection too. The magic of the moon isn't only in the sky, it's in you, in your curiosity, in your quiet wonder, in the way you keep looking up, even when you don't have all the answers. The moon has always been both science and soul, logic and love, a reminder that magic and reason can coexist, and that sometimes the most extraordinary things are the ones that simply are. Chapter 7. The Moon in Science and Exploration. For thousands of years, the moon's light was all people had to study it by. They mapped its patterns by eye, counting the days between crescents and the glow of each full circle. But in 1609, that changed forever. A quiet man in Italy named Galileo Galilei lifted a simple telescope toward the sky and saw the moon as no one ever had. His telescope was small, barely strong enough to show detail, but what he saw through the lens changed human understanding. The moon was not a perfect sphere of smooth light, as many philosophers believed. Galileo saw mountains, craters and shadows, landscapes etched in silver and grey. He made sketches by candlelight, each one capturing a world both near and far. His drawings showed sunlight spilling across jagged ridges, proving that the moon was solid, scarred and real. Another world orbiting ours. Only a few years later, other astronomers like Johannes Hevelius in Poland and Giovanni Riccioli in Italy began to map the moon more carefully. By the mid-1600s, Riccioli gave the lunar features names still used today: Mare Tranquillitatis, the Sea of Tranquility; Mare Imbrium, the Sea of Rains; and Mare Serenitatis, the Sea of Serenity. They weren't true seas. They were broad plains of ancient lava, but the names captured the moon's poetic heart. Through the 1700s and 1800s, telescopes grew stronger, revealing even more detail. In 1837, the German astronomer Johann Maedler published the first accurate map based on careful measurements. It was so precise that future explorers used his coordinates centuries later when planning lunar landings. As the industrial world advanced, so did astronomy. In the late 1800s, scientists used photography to capture the moon's surface more accurately than ever. The Paris Observatory took the first clear photo of the moon in 1840, followed by even sharper images in the decades that followed. By the early 20th century, astronomers began using spectroscopy, the study of light, to learn what the moon was made of. By analyzing reflected sunlight, they discovered that the moon's surface was composed mostly of silicate rocks, basalt and dust. Its glow was no longer just beautiful, it was informative, a mirror reflecting chemistry back to Earth. Even from nearly 384,400 kilometers away, scientists learned to measure its distance precisely. In 1946, American engineers bounced the first radar signals off the moon, confirming that our calculations were remarkably accurate. They found that the moon is slowly drifting away from Earth, about 3.8 centimeters each year. It's such a small movement, but over millions of years, it changes the rhythm of tides and the length of days. The moon has been inching away since it formed, and one day, billions of years from now, it will appear smaller in the sky. But nothing captured the world's imagination like the mid-20th century, the era of rockets, satellites, and the dream of walking on the moon. In 1959, the Soviet spacecraft Lunar became the first human-made object to reach the moon's surface. It crashed intentionally near Mare Imbrium, leaving behind a small, silent marker of human achievement. Just months later, Lunar 3 sent back the first photographs of the far side of the moon, the mysterious hemisphere no one had ever seen. Its surface was rougher, more heavily cratered, so different from the side that always faces Earth. The images were grainy and pale, but to those who saw them, they felt like messages from another world. In 1966, Lunar 9 achieved something even more extraordinary. It became the first spacecraft to make a soft landing on the moon. It sent back pictures of the surface taken from ground level, rocks scattered across grey dust, horizons stretching beneath a black sky with no air and no wind. It proved that the moon's surface could support a spacecraft's weight, a question scientists had debated for years. Just months later, the United States launched Surveyor 1, which also landed successfully and confirmed Lunar's findings. The race to reach the moon became a symbol of human ambition. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy stood before Congress and declared, "We choose to go to the moon." At that time, it was an impossible dream. The technology didn't exist yet. Computers were the size of rooms, and rockets had never carried humans beyond low Earth orbit. But the challenge set a spark that ignited the decade. NASA's Apollo program began in 1961, combining thousands of scientists, engineers, and dreamers. The first missions tested engines, guidance systems, and space capsules. Apollo 8, in December 1968, became the first crewed spacecraft to orbit the moon. Astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders watched the Earth rise above the lunar horizon, a small blue marble floating in darkness. The photograph Anders took, known as Earthrise, became one of the most influential images in history. For the first time, humanity saw our home as one fragile world hanging in space. On July 20th, 1969, the dream became reality. Apollo 11 touched down on the moon in the Sea of Tranquility. Astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin descended the ladder of the lunar module Eagle, their movements slow in the low gravity, their voices calm but trembling with awe. Armstrong's words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," were broadcast to millions around the globe. The surface beneath his boots was fine and powdery. The horizon curved gently, and above it all, the Earth shone like a glowing jewel. In the following years, 5 more Apollo missions reached the moon. Apollo 12 in November 1969 landed near the Surveyor 3 probe, demonstrating pinpoint accuracy. Apollo 13 in 1970 suffered an explosion on its way, but the crew's survival and safe return became a symbol of ingenuity and teamwork. Apollo 15, 16, and 17 carried the lunar roving vehicle, a small electric car that allowed astronauts to travel farther from their landers and collect hundreds of kilograms of rock and soil. Between 1969 and 1972, 12 men walked on the moon. They left footprints that, without wind or rain, may last for millions of years. Scientists studied the samples those astronauts brought home, more than 380 kilograms of lunar rock. They learned that much of the moon's surface is ancient basalt, hardened lava from long-cooled eruptions. Other samples revealed anorthosite, bright white rock that makes up the moon's highlands. The chemistry confirmed the story told by the giant impact theory. The moon had once been part of Earth. After Apollo 17 in December 1972, the moon grew quiet again. Budgets shifted, priorities changed, and for decades, no humans set foot there. But robotic explorers kept watch. In 1994, the Clementine spacecraft mapped the entire surface in detail, producing color and elevation maps that scientists still use today. In 1998, Lunar Prospector discovered evidence of water ice at the moon's poles, tiny frozen crystals hiding in craters that never see sunlight. Later missions, like Smart 1 from Europe and Kaguya from Japan, refined these discoveries, revealing just how complex our neighbor truly is. In 2009, NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, LRO, began circling the moon, capturing high-resolution images so detailed that scientists could see the tracks left by Apollo astronauts. Its companion mission, LCROSS, intentionally impacted a crater near the South Pole, kicking up a plume of dust that confirmed water ice in significant quantities. The moon, once thought to be dry and lifeless, was showing signs of hidden potential, resources that could one day sustain human explorers. Today, exploration continues. China's Chang'e program has landed multiple robotic missions since 2013. Chang'e 4 made history in 2019 by landing on the far side of the moon, something no country had done before. It carried a small rover named U-22, or Jade Rabbit, which is still exploring the lunar soil. India's Chandrayaan-3 in 2023 became the first mission to successfully land near the moon's south pole, a region rich with frozen water and mineral promise. Meanwhile, NASA's Artemis program, named after the Greek goddess of the moon, is preparing to return humans to the lunar surface. The first mission, Artemis 1, launched in November 2022, an uncrewed test that orbited the moon and safely returned to Earth. Artemis 2, planned for the mid-2020s, will carry astronauts on a journey around the moon, and Artemis 3 aims to land the first woman and the first person of color on the surface. The long-term vision is to establish a sustainable base near the South Pole, using lunar resources, especially water, to create fuel and life support for future missions to Mars. The moon has gone from a distant mystery to a reachable world. Yet, even with all our instruments, samples, and data, it hasn't lost its quiet beauty. Scientists study its craters and dust to understand Earth's own history, because the moon, untouched by weather, holds a record of everything that's ever struck it. It's like a cosmic diary, each crater a page in the story of the solar system. By reading that record, we learn not just about the moon, but about ourselves. Tonight, as you rest and breathe, remember that every piece of technology, every telescope, photograph, and footprint began with the simple act of looking up. The same curiosity that guided Galileo's hand also guided Armstrong's step, and now new explorers are preparing to follow. The moon has waited patiently through it all, shining through centuries of wonder, discovery, and return. When you close your eyes, you can imagine it hanging above Earth, pale and quiet, reflecting sunlight across the oceans, the same light touching your face now. Around it orbit our hopes, our questions, and our memories of that first leap. The moon reminds us that exploration is not just about reaching outward, it's about reaching inward, toward understanding and connection. So as you drift toward sleep, picture the moon as it is tonight, ancient, steady, luminous. Its surface bears the marks of comets and rockets, yet it glows softly, without judgment, carrying the footprints of our courage and the reflection of our dreams. Science may have mapped its surface, but its light still feels like magic. And perhaps that's the real discovery, that even when we learn the facts behind wonder, wonder never fades. Chapter 8: The Moon and the Mind. For as long as people have looked up, they have felt that the moon looks back. Its calm light seems to listen, to mirror the quiet inside us that words can't quite reach. We call it a rock in space, yet it stirs the deepest parts of human feeling, inspiring poems, guiding sleep, and, in subtle scientific ways, touching the rhythms of life on Earth. Tonight we'll explore how the moon and the mind are linked through tides, cycles, emotion, and imagination, in ways both measurable and mysterious. Long before laboratories and brain scans, people noticed that moods sometimes changed with the moon. Farmers worked longer under bright full moon nights. Travelers stayed awake later. Animals seemed restless. The very word lunatic from lunar shows how strongly people once believed that the moon could bend the mind. For centuries, doctors wrote of moon madness, convinced that the full moon's light drew people from sleep into agitation. Most of those stories we now know were observations mixed with myth, patterns noticed but not tested. Still, they reveal something true, that humans have always felt the moon's pull, even when science had no language for it. In the 20th and 21st centuries, researchers began asking carefully, does the moon really influence us? The answer, as with most gentle mysteries, is a little yes, a little no. The moon's gravity does tug on everything made of water. And since our bodies are mostly water, it's tempting to imagine a personal tide inside each of us. In reality, the gravitational difference across a human body is too small to feel. Yet through the oceans and the air, that pull shapes our environment, and in turn, our minds. Coastal air pressure, humidity, and even nocturnal brightness shift slightly with the lunar cycle, nudging sleep patterns and animal behavior in subtle ways. In 2013, scientists at the University of Basel in Switzerland studied volunteers sleeping in dark rooms with no clocks or windows. They found that around the full moon, participants took about 5 minutes longer to fall asleep, slept 20 minutes less, and showed slightly reduced deep sleep brain activity. None of them could see the moon, so the effect wasn't psychological. The researchers suggested that the body might carry an ancient, built-in awareness of the lunar cycle, a leftover biological rhythm from when our ancestors lived more directly under its light. Later studies have found similar hints, though others find none at all. Science, like the moon itself, waxes and wanes with new data. But the idea that our sleep might ebb and flow with the night sky feels fitting, like an old melody our cells still remember. Animals show even clearer connections. Coral reefs release their eggs in mass synchrony during certain phases of the moon, timing reproduction to bright nights and steady tides. Sea turtles choose full moon nights to hatch, using the shimmer on the waves as a compass to the sea. Insects migrate, fish feed, and many nocturnal mammals adjust their activity with lunar light. Humans, who evolved alongside these rhythms, likely inherited some of the same subtle timing. For early hunter-gatherers, a full moon meant extra light for travel and gathering. A new moon meant safety in darkness. Our ancestors' brains learned to associate brightness with alertness and darkness with rest, forming habits that modern lighting has only partly erased. The moon also shapes emotion through meaning. Across cultures, it has always symbolized reflection, intuition, and change, qualities our minds know well. When people meditate or journal by moonlight, they often describe feeling clearer, more open, more connected to cycles beyond their daily worries. Psychologists sometimes call this contextual grounding, the sense that one's personal experiences are part of larger natural patterns. When we watch the moon wax and wane, we remember that growth and rest are both normal. Nothing stays full forever. That simple awareness can ease anxiety and invite acceptance, which is why therapists and mindfulness teachers often use lunar imagery in relaxation practices. In cognitive science, light itself plays a direct role in mood. The human brain relies on light cues to regulate circadian rhythm, the 24-hour cycle that governs sleep, energy, and hormones. Although moonlight is faint compared with sunlight, its timing reinforces natural cues. Studies have found that in rural areas without electric lighting, full moon nights shift bedtime later by about 30 to 40 minutes on average, while new moon nights bring earlier sleep. The mind responds unconsciously to that silvery glow, delaying melatonin release just enough to lengthen evening wakefulness. For ancient communities, this extra hour of brightness may have been precious. Time to talk, tell stories, and plan. Social bonding under a cosmic lantern. Language and art reflect those bonds. The limbic system, the part of the brain that processes emotion and memory, responds strongly to visual beauty. Neuroaesthetic research shows that when people view images of the moon, especially full or rising over water, they experience small surges of dopamine and oxytocin, chemicals linked with calm affection and awe. It's the same gentle rush we feel when listening to favorite music or watching firelight dance. The moon, silent and steady, is a natural trigger for that sense of safe wonder. The connection between the moon and the menstrual cycle has also intrigued scientists and storytellers alike. The average menstrual period lasts about 29.5 days, nearly identical to the lunar month. For much of human history, women tracked fertility and community rhythms by the moon's phases, gathering for rituals at the new or full moon. Modern biology shows that while not every cycle matches perfectly, light exposure can indeed influence hormonal timing. Melatonin and luteinizing hormone respond to nightly brightness. In the 1980s, researcher Dr. Winifred Cutler demonstrated that controlled light cues could shift menstrual patterns closer to lunar length. It seems our bodies once synchronized with the same rhythms that move the tides, a biological poetry written in chemistry. Beyond physiology, the moon nourishes creativity. The prefrontal cortex, the brain's center for imagination, thrives on gentle stimulation without stress. The slow, predictable change of the moon offers that perfectly. Artists across centuries have painted and composed under its light because it balances stillness and motion. The poet Matsuo Basho wrote haiku to the harvest moon in the 17th century, Japan. Beethoven's Piano Sonata No. 14, later nicknamed the Moonlight Sonata, was written in 1801. Its flowing triplets said to mirror moonlit ripples on a lake. Contemporary studies of creativity suggest that people produce more divergent ideas after spending time outdoors at night, perhaps because the reduced light lowers the brain's filtering activity, allowing imagination to wander. The moon, simply by dimming the world, opens inner space. Modern neuroscience can even trace the sensation of awe that moonlight brings. When we gaze upward and feel small but safe, activity increases in the parietal lobes and decreases in the default mode network, the region tied to self-focused thought. The result is humility blended with calm, what psychologists call self-transcendent emotion. It lowers cortisol, slows heart rate, and promotes cooperative behavior. In other words, the moon literally helps us feel part of something larger and kinder. The moon has also shaped the rhythms of human society in practical, measurable ways. Police departments and hospitals once kept full moon reports, noting spikes in emergencies or births. Many of those claims fade under statistical review, yet one detail remains. In bright moon conditions, human activity increases. More driving, more outdoor gatherings, more waking hours mean more of everything else, including accidents and births. The moon doesn't cause chaos. It simply keeps the world awake a little longer. From a psychological perspective, that wakefulness carries symbolic meaning. The full moon's brightness acts like a mirror for the mind, illuminating what's usually hidden. That's why rituals of reflection often align with it. People write intentions, release worries, or sit quietly outdoors. The process is less about magic and more about attention. When we pause to notice light on water or trees, the brain's attentional networks reset, reducing mental noise. The result feels mystical, but it's physiological, a natural form of mindfulness guided by skylight. Scientists who study mental health are finding that reconnecting with nighttime nature can improve emotional stability. Exposure to natural darkness followed by moonlight helps regulate circadian rhythm and enhances serotonin balance. Just as morning sunlight lifts mood, gentle nightlight can ease restlessness and foster calm. Sleep researchers now design lunar lighting systems for hospitals and space missions, mimicking the moon's gradual dimming to help the body wind down. Even astronauts aboard the International Space Station, orbiting 16 times per day, use simulated lunar cycles to maintain mental balance. On Earth, our relationship with the moon has entered the digital age. Apps show real-time lunar phases. Photographers chase supermoons through city skylines. Scientists monitor its gravitational influence on Earth's magnetic field. Yet despite all our data, the emotional connection hasn't dimmed. In 2021, a survey by the Pew Research Center found that 84% of adults worldwide could identify the current phase of the moon without looking it up, a higher number than for any constellation or planet. Even surrounded by screens, we still look up. There is also growing research into the moon's effect on dreams. Some studies suggest that during the full moon, REM sleep, the stage when vivid dreaming occurs may lengthen slightly. Dream diaries collected over decades show more reports of bright, outdoor imagery during that time. Whether caused by light filtering through curtains or subtle biological rhythms, the pattern continues to fascinate neuroscientists. Dreams themselves, like the moon, are cycles of reflection, the mind processing daylight experiences through the gentle glow of imagination. And then there is the effect on hope. During dark nights, seeing the moon rise triggers the brain's release of serotonin and endorphins, the same chemicals sparked by morning sunlight. The contrast between darkness and light reassures the mind that illumination always returns. That small neurochemical comfort may explain why people instinctively photograph the moon, share it online, or simply whisper, "Wow." It is a quiet act of optimism written in biology. In the field of chronobiology, researchers now speak of the circulunar rhythm, biological patterns roughly aligned with the lunar month. From algae to humans, these rhythms persist even in controlled conditions, with no external light. They are faint but measurable, suggesting that life itself carries an internal memory of the moon. Some scientists propose that early single-celled organisms evolved under the regular pattern of moonlit tides, embedding that timing into DNA. If that's true, then every heartbeat, every sleep cycle, every gentle sigh carries a whisper of that ancient rhythm. Think about that for a moment. The same force that moves entire oceans may still echo in the chemistry of your cells. The same light that guided ancient migrations may still guide your thoughts before sleep. You don't have to believe in magic to feel it. You only have to breathe and notice. The moon and the mind share a conversation that science can describe but never exhaust. As you rest now, imagine those invisible connections, hormones adjusting, neurons slowing, tides moving quietly beneath distant shores. Your breath aligns with them, in and out, waxing and waning. The moon above is 500,000 kilometers away, yet its story unfolds inside you, in dreams, in moods, in memory. The moon teaches that reflection is not emptiness. It's illumination returned. It reflects the sun's light just as your mind reflects the world's experiences, changing them into meaning, into calm. Both the moon and the mind gather brightness, soften it, and send it back as something gentle. So, if tonight your thoughts feel full like a rising moon, or thin and hidden like a new one, know that both are natural. You are part of the same cycle of brightness, rest, and renewal. Science explains the how, feeling explains the why. Together, they remind us that we are creatures of rhythm and light. Close your eyes and picture that quiet silver glow spilling through the sky, touching oceans, mountains, rooftops, and finally you. Somewhere, corals pulse, wolves lift their heads, and your own heartbeat joins the ancient rhythm. The moon and the mind are not separate. They are reflections of the same gentle truth. That light persists, that balance is possible, and that peace, like moonlight, needs only a dark sky to be seen. Chapter 9. The moon in art and imagination. If science tells us what the moon is, art tells us what it means. From the first handprints on cave walls to the digital photographs we share today, people have tried to capture the moon's quiet power. Its pale light has brushed the canvases of painters, guided the pens of poets, and whispered through music for thousands of years. Tonight, we wander slowly through that gallery of imagination. learning how artists, writers, and dreamers have translated moonlight into meaning. Long before writing existed, the moon appeared in symbols. Archaeologists have found stone carvings from as early as 25,000 BCE, the famous Lausel Venus in France, holding a crescent-shaped horn marked with 13 lines, likely a record of the lunar months. Across ancient Mesopotamia, the moon god Sin or Nana was drawn as a shining crescent floating above temples, his phases used to measure ritual calendars. In Egypt, the moon was painted as the falcon-headed Thoth, keeper of wisdom and the measure of time. Every stroke of those ancient chisels was both art and astronomy. When humans began telling stories in ink and clay, the moon slipped easily into poetry. In Sumerian hymns from around 2000 BCE, the moon's rising was compared to a torch lighting the sleeping land. The Chinese Shijing, or Book of Songs compiled around 1000 BCE, speaks of lovers separated by distance who look at the same moon to feel close again, a theme that would echo through centuries of verse. In India, Sanskrit poets of the Gupta period called the full moon Chandramas, the one who cools, believing its light soothed both sky and heart. By the classical age, Greek and Roman writers gave the moon human form. In Ovid's Metamorphoses, Selene glides across the heavens each night to visit her mortal beloved Endymion, freezing him in eternal sleep so she can adore him forever. That story, the immortal descending to the dreaming human, became one of the oldest metaphors for inspiration itself. Renaissance artists later painted Selene bending over her sleeping muse as though moonlight were creativity made visible. Through the Middle Ages, the moon appeared in illuminated manuscripts, haloed in gold leaf. Monks who copied text by candlelight used lunar diagrams to predict Easter and agricultural seasons, turning celestial observation into sacred art. In Islamic architecture, crescents crowned domes and minarets, geometric elegance tracing spiritual geometry. Each curve was both mathematical precision and a prayer written in stone. The invention of the telescope in the 1600s gave painters a new muse. When Galileo's sketches revealed craters and mountains, artists began to paint the moon not as a perfect disk, but as a textured world. In 1647, Johannes Hevelius published Selenographia, a book of meticulous lunar engravings that influenced visual art for generations. Baroque painters such as Claude Lorrain and Salvator Rosa used the moon to balance light and shadow, creating the first true nocturnes, scenes built entirely around moonlight. The play between brightness and darkness mirrored the human soul itself. By the 18th and 19th centuries, Romanticism turned the moon into a mirror of feeling. William Wordsworth wrote, "Soft in her tranquil light, the gleaming moon sits on her throne serene." Percy Shelley called it the lamp of our soul's light. The moon became a confidant for longing hearts, a silent friend to solitude. Painters followed the poets. In 1881, the American artist Albert Bierstadt's Moonlight in the Yosemite Valley showed mist, mountains, and silver light so realistic that viewers felt the chill of night air. Caspar David Friedrich's Two Men, Contemplating the Moon, 1825, distilled romantic thought into one simple scene. Two tiny figures gazing upward, lost in wonder. Meanwhile, music found its own reflection. In 1801, Ludwig van Beethoven composed his piano sonata number 14, later nicknamed the Moonlight Sonata by poet Ludwig Rellstab, who imagined moonbeams rippling across Lake Lucerne. In 1890, French composer Claude Debussy wrote Clair de Lune, Light of the Moon, its cascading notes creating an auditory shimmer that still feels like a dream. Even jazz musicians later borrowed lunar titles. Blue Moon, 1934, and Fly Me to the Moon, 1954, carried moonlight into the age of microphones and neon signs. The moon also entered storytelling in more literal ways. In 1865, Jules Verne wrote From the Earth to the Moon, predicting many details of space travel a century before Apollo 11. His book inspired Georges Méliès's 1902 silent film Le Voyage dans la Lune, one of cinema's first masterpieces. Audiences gasped as a rocket struck the moon's smiling face. For the first time, imagination was projected as moving light. Méliès's imagery, whimsical telescopes, crater creatures, and the famous human face moon shaped film design for decades and still echoes in modern animation. Throughout the 20th century, painters and photographers used the moon to explore perspective. Surrealist René Magritte painted moons where suns should be, challenging the mind's expectations. Ansel Adams's photograph Moonrise, Hernandez, New Mexico, 1941, captured a small town gleaming beneath a giant lunar disk, balancing earthly and celestial light. In modern art, Yayoi Kusama's mirrored installations scatter endless reflections of spheres, inviting viewers to feel as though they stand inside a universe of moons. Writers of every era have followed. In 1900, W.B. Yeats wrote, "The moon has set, and the Pleiades. Midnight is gone. The hours of night are passing by. Sweet sleep, pursue thy own." Virginia Woolf, in her 1927 novel To the Lighthouse, used the moon as a measure of time and consciousness, its silver arc linking human memory with the turning world. Later, science fiction authors transformed the moon from symbol to setting. Arthur C. Clarke's 2001, A Space Odyssey imagined lunar bases and the first encounters with the unknown. Yet even in futuristic tales, the emotional pull remained ancient. The moon was still mystery, solitude, and hope. Visual artists of the post-Apollo era began using real lunar imagery in their work. Andy Warhol printed photographic silkscreens of the moon, celebrating technology as pop art. Robert Rauschenberg's Stoned Moon series in 1969 combined NASA blueprints with swirling abstraction, showing that engineering and imagination were not opposites, but collaborators. Each rocket launch was also a painting in motion. In literature, the moon kept inspiring reflection. Langston Hughes wrote of silver secrets, shining down, linking lunar calm to dignity amid struggle. In Latin America, Pablo Neruda filled his poems with moons, trembling on the edge of sea foam, metaphors for love that survives distance. The pattern continued. Each generation found its own reflection in that same white circle overhead. Cultural historians sometimes note that the moon's role in art rises during uncertain times. After wars or social upheaval, paintings and songs of moonlight often multiply. Psychologists think it's because the moon represents constancy, a stable image in a changing world. During the Second World War, popular songs like Moonlight Serenade offered calm to soldiers and families alike. In the 1960s, as humanity literally reached the moon, artists used its image to ask philosophical questions about home. Seen from space, Earth became the new rising moon. the bright body viewed against darkness. Modern technology turned every person with a camera into a lunar artist. Photographers chase supermoons, moments when the moon appears up to 14% larger because it is near perigee, its closest point to Earth. Others track eclipses when the moon slips into Earth's shadow and glows red from refracted sunlight. That phenomenon, the blood moon, has become a favorite subject of astrophotographers who merge science and art in a single frame. With digital lenses, humanity paints in photons instead of oils, but the impulse is the same: to preserve awe. In digital culture, the moon continues to symbolize emotion and connection. Emojis of crescents and full moons fill messages as shorthand for affection or quiet goodnights. Filmmakers bathe scenes in blue light to signal mystery or intimacy. Game designers use lunar cycles to guide storytelling, programming virtual worlds that wax and wane like the real sky. Even artificial intelligence models that generate images now study the moon's palette, its cold greys and soft whites, to learn the mathematics of beauty. The ancient muse teaches new machines what calm looks like. Across all these centuries, the pattern is clear. When people create, the moon provides both subject and structure. Its recurring phases echo the creative process itself. The spark of new ideas, the bright fullness of expression, the quiet release before beginning again. Artists often describe this in journals. Projects wax as inspiration grows and wane when completion arrives. The moon, visible or hidden, becomes a partner in every act of making. Neuroscientists studying creativity note that cyclic thinking, the sense of returning to familiar ideas with new perspective, activates the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex together, fostering insight. When artists work at night under dim light, those regions synchronize more easily, increasing associative thought. The moon, by providing gentle illumination without overstimulation, literally sets the stage for imagination to flow. It is both lamp and lullaby. Cultural data show just how universal this inspiration is. The Google Ngram database of published books reveals that the word moon appears more frequently than sun in English poetry after 1800 and remains one of the most common celestial references in world literature. In painting archives, nearly 1 in 10 landscape works between 1750 and 1900 include a visible moon. Even today, thousands of songs use it in their titles, from jazz to hip-hop, proving that its symbolism adapts endlessly while its presence stays constant. The moon in art is not always gentle. Some creators portray it as loneliness or mystery. Film noir directors used half-moons to frame secrets. Horror writers turned eclipses into omens. Yet even these darker portrayals rely on its reliability. Fear exists only because light will return. The moon provides contrast, the canvas on which human emotion paints every shade. And still, when the last brushstroke is made or the last note fades, the feeling that remains is peace. The moon's image, no matter the style, carries silence within it. Museum studies have shown that viewers linger longer before paintings containing the moon than before any other recurring motif. Heart rates slow, voices drop. Even indoors, people feel the hush of night. Imagine walking through that museum now. The walls stretch endlessly, hung with centuries of moonlight. A Babylonian tablet carved with crescents glows beside a Renaissance oil of Selene, which fades into a black and white photograph from Apollo 11. You move quietly from one to the next, and the light seems to travel with you. Every artist, across time and culture, has left a small reflection of themselves in that glow. And now you carry it too. What all these works share is a wish to understand. The scientist measures, the artist feels. Both look up. When you close your eyes, you can see their hands overlapping through history. Painters, poets, engineers, and dreamers tracing the same circle in the dark. The moon in art is not just an object, it is a mirror showing humanity to itself, patient and forgiving. So, as you rest now, imagine that silver gallery above the world. Every brushstroke of light across the sky tonight is another masterpiece, alive, moving, renewing. The same moon that guided cave painters, inspired Debussy, and framed a photograph from the Sea of Tranquility is shining through your window, inviting you to create, to dream, or simply to breathe. Its light touches every mind that looks up, weaving imagination into the fabric of reality. And in that soft union of art and night, you find the oldest truth of all. That beauty, like moonlight, is meant to be shared. Chapter 10. Our Eternal Companion. All through history, through every discovery and every dream, the moon has never left us. It has been constant, yet always changing, distant, yet somehow close. When you look up tonight, you are joining an unbroken chain of gazes, stretching back 4.5 billion years, from the molten birth of Earth to the quiet hum of your own breathing. The moon is our oldest neighbor, our silent witness, our eternal companion. Long before our species existed, the moon was already circling. Scientists know it formed about 4.5 billion years ago, only 50 million years after Earth itself. Back then, the day lasted just 5 hours, and the moon was nearly 4 times closer than it is now. The tides were enormous. Each sunrise might have pulled whole oceans across continents. Yet that violent dance slowly settled into harmony, and as the centuries stretched into eons, life began. Every cell that learned to divide did so under a sky lit by that same patient glow. As early animals crawled from the sea, the moon's gravity kept Earth's axis steady. Without it, the planet would tilt chaotically, swinging from ice age to furnace within centuries. Instead, the moon's steady pull kept the seasons gentle enough for forests, rivers, and finally humanity to flourish. Even if no human had ever written a poem or built a telescope, the moon would still have shaped us, in bones adapted to the rhythm of the tides, in hormones timed by night, in the instinct to rest when the sky turns silver. When the first people began to wander under starlight, they noticed that the moon rose and fell with exquisite regularity. They built calendars, rituals, and stories around it because they understood something we still feel, that constancy is sacred. The moon became a teacher in the oldest classroom of all, the sky. It taught patience by taking nearly 30 days to grow and fade. It taught humility by showing that even darkness can shine when it reflects light. It taught connection by appearing in every land above every language. Thousands of years later, when astronomers calculated its orbit with mathematical precision, that sense of companionship did not fade. The numbers only deepened our wonder. We learned that the moon moves about 3.8 centimeters farther away each year, the width of 2 fingers. At that rate, in 600 million years, total solar eclipses will no longer occur, because the moon will appear too small to cover the sun. The very phenomenon that once made us look up in awe will end, yet the moon itself will remain, continuing its slow outward spiral, faithful to physics and to beauty alike. During the space age, when astronauts turned their cameras back toward Earth, they saw the most tender proof of all. From the Sea of Tranquility, they described the blue world rising over the grey horizon, Earth itself glowing like a fragile ornament. Those images reminded humanity that we are also one world, bound to another by gravity and grace. The moon was no longer just an object to reach, it was a mirror showing us home. In that sense, every step on its dust was also a step inward. Today, scientists still measure the moon's heartbeat through laser reflectors left by Apollo missions. Every time a beam of light travels to the moon and back, a round trip of 2.56 seconds, we are reminded that connection can cross even cosmic silence. Those tiny flashes of returning light prove that communication is possible across distance, that relationship can exist between worlds. In the language of physics, it is simply reflection. In the language of the heart, it is companionship. The moon's companionship is not only scientific, but emotional. It waits for every mood, joy, sorrow, wonder, fatigue. When the world feels noisy, we look up and find a calm, repeating presence. Psychologists call this a stable visual anchor. The brain, when seeing a slow, predictable movement, releases endorphins and lowers the activity of the amygdala, the region that handles fear. That is why watching the moon rise can feel like a sigh. Our biology recognizing steadiness. In a century of flashing screens and instant change, the moon still keeps its measured pace of 27.5 days per circuit, inviting us to breathe at the same rhythm. Even the most advanced telescopes cannot exhaust its beauty. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter continues to photograph craters only meters wide, yet every new detail feels familiar, not foreign. The moon teaches scientists humility. The closer we look, the more complexity we find. Its surface holds a record of billions of meteor strikes, frozen in silence. Each crater is an unwritten chapter of solar system history. Together, they form a library without sound, a library the moon guards for us all. In culture, the moon remains our shared canvas. Flags from multiple nations still mark the same plane where Eagle landed. Future missions from the Artemis program and other space agencies will place new instruments there. But the footprints of 1969 will stay undisturbed. There is no wind to erase them, no rain to wash them away. The oldest human marks beyond Earth will outlast every city we have built here. That permanence comforts the imagination. Somewhere in the vacuum, evidence of human courage sleeps in the dust, lit by sunrise every 2 weeks, forgotten by none. Yet the moon's companionship is not limited to astronauts and scientists. It belongs equally to anyone who pauses long enough to see it. Think of city workers walking home beneath its light, of children pressing their faces to windows, of travelers at sea steering by its glow. Each person carries a private conversation with that bright face, a moment of honesty too simple for words. Anthropologists who study ritual call this universal contemplation, a shared behavior found in all cultures where people gaze upward to restore inner balance. It is the same impulse that leads us to prayer, to art, or to quiet gratitude. The moon effortlessly fulfills the same role. As exploration continues, new questions arise. How did water ice survive in its polar shadows for billions of years? What secrets lie beneath its crust? Could colonies or observatories one day circle its surface, studying the cosmos free from Earth's haze? NASA, the European Space Agency, China, India, and private companies are all planning missions that may answer these questions. By 2030, we may have permanent laboratories on the Moon's south pole. By mid-century, telescopes stationed on its far side could peer deeper into the universe than ever before. The Moon that once taught us to measure time may soon help us measure creation itself. Yet even as we plan and measure, the feeling stays the same. When future astronauts stand beneath that black sky and look back at Earth, they will feel what we already know. That distance can never erase belonging. The Moon's surface may be dust and stone, but its meaning is entirely human. It holds our footprints, our reflections, our questions. It carries every wish whispered to the night. From a psychological view, the Moon fulfills the need for permanence in an impermanent world. Studies in environmental psychology show that repeated exposure to predictable natural cycles reduces anxiety and improves resilience. Just as ocean waves or seasonal blooms soothe the nervous system, the monthly return of the full moon reminds the brain that change can be reliable. Each phase becomes an affirmation. New beginnings, growth, fullness, rest. Without realizing it, we build our emotional calendars around that glow. The Moon also encourages empathy. When we look up and realize that everyone else can see the same light, borders dissolve. Astronauts often describe the overview effect, a profound sense of unity when viewing Earth from space. You don't need a rocket to feel it, you only need to stand under the Moon. Its light touches every nation equally. In that equality, the mind relaxes. We remember that life is shared, that connection is not a concept, but a physical fact of light traveling across space. Artists, too, keep returning to the Moon to express that unity. Contemporary painters capture its subtle color changes. Filmmakers use its phases to mark transformation. In literature, it remains a symbol of endurance. Even social scientists studying online culture find that the most common phrase shared during natural disasters or blackouts is "look at the moon tonight." People instinctively reach for the same anchor, seeking reassurance that the world still holds something constant. And so the Moon continues to teach without speaking. It shows that strength can be quiet, that influence can be gentle, that presence matters more than noise. It tells every restless heart that cycles are not endings, but continuations. Its patience outlasts empires, yet its light is tender enough to rest on a single leaf. If you could stand on its surface now, you would see Earth hanging in space, turning slowly, covered in thin clouds and bright seas. You would notice that the Moon has no sound, only the rhythm of your own heartbeat echoing through your suit. You would realize that the silence isn't empty, it's complete. Every story we have ever told about home, love, fear, and hope is contained in that single blue sphere. The Moon's companionship is proof that the universe can be vast and still feel intimate. As we finish this journey, let yourself imagine that view. Picture the Earth above the horizon, glowing softly. You are weightless, yet grounded by gravity's invisible thread. The same thread binds oceans to tides, planets to stars, and dreams to waking life. The Moon's orbit is simply the physical form of connection, steady, repeating, infinite. Take a slow breath in and out. Feel how your body follows a smaller version of that same rhythm. The inhale is the waxen moon, the exhale is the waning. Each breath a cycle, each heartbeat a tide. In this moment, you and the moon are moving together. The moon has been with us through every chapter, from molten beginnings to music, myth, and memory. It has guided sailors, farmers, scientists, and children with the same patient glow. It has outlasted languages, rewritten calendars, and turned data into dreams. And through it all, it has remained what it always was: a companion that neither judges nor leaves. When you finish this story and close your eyes, the moon will still be there, high above, silent, faithful, waiting. It asks nothing but awareness. Look up when you can. Let it remind you that even in darkness, reflection brings light. The same sunlight that feeds the day returns each night, softened, translated, and shared. That is the moon's gift, and the reason it feels like home. So rest now under that gift. Let its calm light fill your thoughts, washing away the noise of the day. You have traveled from creation to art, from science to spirit, and arrived here in the quiet certainty that you are part of something vast and kind. The moon will continue its path long after this night ends, circling, shining, steady, and each time it rises, it will whisper the same truth across space: that you are seen, that you belong, and that you are never alone. And now, dear friend, rest beneath the moon. You've journeyed through fire and dust, through oceans of time and waves of light. You've listened to the stories of discovery, the poetry of wonder, the science of calm. And now, there is nothing left to learn tonight, only to be. The moon is still there, steady above you, carrying every memory of the path we've traveled. Its light, older than language, falls across mountains and rivers, cities and silence, and finally finds you exactly where you are. Take a slow breath in. Feel your chest rise like the tide drawn by the moon. Let it fall again, gentle as the ebbing sea. Each breath brings you closer to stillness, to the rhythm that has guided life for billions of years. The moon moves. You breathe. The earth turns. You rest. All of it happens effortlessly. As you settle, imagine that silver light spreading softly across your surroundings. It touches walls, leaves, the air itself. Every beam is the echo of sunlight made kind. It doesn't demand attention. It simply exists, calm, consistent, sure. You don't have to chase peace tonight. It has already found you. You are bathed in it. The moon has watched civilizations rise and fade, has seen explorers take their first steps into the unknown, has kept company with every dreamer who ever looked up in wonder. Now it watches over you, offering the same quiet reassurance it has given to all who came before. You are part of that lineage of gazers, of hope, of gentle curiosity. The moon's light is ancient, but the comfort it brings is immediate. Let the weight of the day drift away. Whatever thoughts remain can move like clouds across the sky, present for a moment, then gone. You don't need to hold or fix them. Just breathe and let the rhythm of the moon's orbit carry them away. The space that remains is wide and peaceful. Somewhere out there, the moon continues its path, and somewhere within you, the same steady rhythm continues too. You are both orbiting, both reflecting, both glowing in your own way. You are lights seen through another kind of night. If you listen closely, you might sense the hum of that connection. The quiet unity of everything that breathes, turns, and rests together. This is what it means to belong. To the earth, to the sky, to yourself. So close your eyes now. Feel the softness of gravity beneath you and the gentle pull of the moon above. You are perfectly balanced between them, held, supported, safe. Let that awareness cradle you as you drift deeper into rest. The moon will keep watch. That is its promise. Its light will follow you into dreams, where imagination and memory blend into one gentle glow. Sleep peacefully, dear friend. The world turns, the moon shines, and you are right where you need to be.